Welcome everyone. Adam the Woo here. As a recording of this, it is a day that I have not looked forward to all year. For 365 days, give or take, you know, the couple days after it happened last year, I don't really think about it. Well, maybe in the first couple of weeks, but then it starts to get in your head. As the recording of this, it is Monday, March 27th, 2023. About two and a half weeks before the official tax day, but I never try to wait till the last minute until April. Today, I am doing my taxes. Ugh, something I stress about all the time. Each month, get paid for what I do through the platform, and I always put a little bit aside, and I just always wonder, do I have enough set aside in that separate savings account? I'm gonna find out today. I'm inviting you to join me. It's gonna be a day of celebration because I'm in celebration, but also excitement if I have stockpiled enough in my savings to pay Uncle Sam. He just kind of reaches down in your pocket and goes, give me that, give me that. Not a fan. Or it'll be extreme disappointment if I don't. But I think I've done it. I think I've done well enough with putting what I need to put aside. I'm gonna talk about that and just see where the day goes. Join me. It's warm out here also, shall you? Now usually this classic truck is parked over by the bike rentals. Today, it's out here, which is kind of nice. So a classic truck alert right here. Now I learned a lesson years ago when I started making an okay income where it had to be accounted for the IRS to start putting a good rule of thumb. I'm having trouble talking because I'm just really not looking forward to this. 30% of what I make, I put in a separate savings account. And usually that works out with the write-offs and all that to where I get a little bit back, not a lot back, but I have enough to cover when everything is all said and done. What I have grown accustomed to, my habit of what I do is I take 30%. So I basically will take, let's say I make $1,000 a month. Let's say I get a payout for $1,000 a month. I will take $300, it's just an example. Take 300, let's say you're me, make $1,000 a month. Being self-employed, not counting the write-offs, not counting of all that. Just take $300 out of that 1,000, put it in that separate little pocket, that little separate savings account. I have two savings accounts. I have my regular savings and I have my tax savings. It's just kind of the way I do things. That way it's out of sight, out of mind. If I make $2,000, or anyone makes $2,000 a month being self-employed doing what I do, you want to put $600 a month and put that in the savings. That way I am guaranteed to have a little bit of money paid out. Kind of like when you're working for someone and you are paying in each year, but I'm not paying in, I have to pay in at the end. But really, if you manage your money correctly, I have grown to learn by putting that little bit aside. It really does help me in a lot of ways. Not being overly stressed. I'm stressed a little bit because I do not know the total, what the total will be once the write-offs and all that are in, and I talk to the accountant and all that. But I feel like I can breathe a little easier when it's all said and done, when I just realize that I have planned accordingly with the 30%. Is that, I don't know, it probably doesn't really make, I guess it does make sense, really, when I kind of break it down like that. But then you also add in the write-offs. So I will write off all my hotels, all my gas, all my rental cars, all my flights, camera purchases, admission to museums, theme parks, things like that. I will put that in the write-off category as well. And because I do pretty consistent videos, there is proof that I am utilizing what I spent to be going towards the content for these videos as a business expense. That is what I was taught years ago. We're going to the first accountant that I used to have, has since retired, and then the last couple of years I've had to go to another one. And that's basically what I do, and it has worked out pretty good thus far. I need to get some coffee. It's pretty warm, pretty dang warm out here, but I'm still gonna go full piping hot caffeinated. That's just what I do. I think it's more of a curbing of an appetite kind of thing. I've learned in the morning I don't really eat breakfast. I do eat a pretty good amount later in the day. I make up for it. I have a lot of good habits. I'm pretty dedicated with the course of what I'm doing with these videos and living my life and things like that. But two things I really slack on are getting more exercise that I need. I'm good at cardio, but anything other than that, I slack on that. And I also slack on eating well. if I could just get those two things dialed in, I would be doing really well, because everything else, career-wise in my life, and like, you know, getting tunnel vision and really dedicating myself to doing a lot of things, I am really good at keeping a regiment and a habit. I just got to work on those two other things, but not making any statements or anything, but just kind of popped into my head. And as far as expenses go, is what it was told to me, you don't basically, everything you spend is going off of the total of what you made. So let's say you make $1,000 being self-employed a month. That's $12,000 a year. But let's say you spent $2,000 on flights, hotels, gas, camera equipment, things like that. So in reality, you are showing that you didn't necessarily make $12,000 a year. Your total after the write-offs, after those $2,000, is $10,000 a year. So that is your taxable income. That's how the write-offs work. At least that's how it was told to me. So basically, the more you spend on doing things, it goes off the total of what you made. But it's not a complete removal of all of that. It just goes off the total of what you made and what is taxable of what you made. Confusing, I know, right? It's very stressful. Now, in the past, you would also factor in donations, crowdfunding, merchandise, but since I no longer have Spreadshirt, I no longer have Patreon, I no longer have any kind of donations or anything like going to other sources, this is going to be a lot easier year, because there are going to be less things that add in to what I made. So basically it's just AdSense. YouTube's AdSense is all that I made this whole 2022, the tax season of 2022, which I'm filing in 2023. So this should be simpler than former years for the person who's going to be doing my taxes. It'll make it a little easier on them and a little less stressful. And because I didn't sell any stock in 2022, I sold a lot of my Disney stock back in December 21. That way I could file it last year. I wanted to get it all out of the way, so I didn't have to mess with that this year. I did buy some more Disney stock earlier in 22, but you don't have to mess with any of that until you sell it. I have not sold that off yet. So by me selling it off in December of 21, I don't have to mess with any of the stock and interest on that. I do have some paperwork on the, you know, for the interest on bank accounts and things like that. So I have to report that, and I have to report the write-offs, and I have to report what I made off of YouTube. And that's pretty much about it. But I have a whole heck of, I got a lot of write-offs. I traveled a lot in 22. That's just kind of my thing. This is a sycamore tree right here. Plantanus occidentalis. Fast-growing tree up to 75 to 125 feet. Exfoliating character bark, part of the street program. I also kind of wonder if it makes branches in the way. I'm on the fence with it. Does it make more sense to just not spend money to do things through the year? Not stay in hotels, not fly places. What if I just stayed put and didn't have as many write-offs? Would it really hurt the total more? I often wonder, like, do write-offs really make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things? I'm going to get a little bit less taxable income. You got to really have a lot of write-offs for it to make a huge difference. I'm really kind of wondering, is it easier, makes it make more sense if I just stayed put and never went anywhere, never had any write-offs, any travel expenses? Does it make more sense to do that? I mean, obviously I'm not gonna stay put. I want to travel, but I just wonder if the write-offs make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. I just haven't made the decision yet. Also, there's a cone right there on the top of that. I'm not sure why that cone's there. These are the tax brackets for 2022, filing in 2023 for, obviously I'm single, so I'm a single filer, but it kind of shows the brackets for head of the household and for married individuals filing jointly. But it's interesting how the more you make, the more Uncle Sam just goes, how's it going? I'll just take that right out of the old wallet there. But the more you go, so I am not in the 10 or the 12% tax bracket. I'm higher up than that. And the more that you make, the more they take. Which is kind of it. I mean, I don't know. I don't get all of that. So there's another part of me that makes me think, you know, let's say you made, I don't know, let's say you were all the way down here in a 37% tax bracket. They're taking almost 40%, they're taking almost half of your money. Or if you're just, you know, between the 10 and 40,000, they're only taking 12%. That is a massive difference, percentage-wise, of what they're taking, which makes me think, down the road, you know, if I completely stopped doing what I'm doing and fell back down into the lower tax brackets, granted, you're not making as much money, but then the government's not getting as much. Does it make sense to put more out there? I guess you could say work harder or stay busier. You know, obviously I'm not throwing feed at a feed store and breaking my back anymore, but I stay pretty consistent. If I were to stop that consistency and make less, give the government less, does it really kind of even out? I don't know. Things that make you go, wonder what the duck thinks. I almost misspoke and called Howard the Duck Roger Rabbit. I don't know, I have Roger Rabbit in my brain right now. But it's really Howard the Duck. It's a fake decoy duck. I don't know, I always think about all this stuff throughout the year when I'm putting money away. And I always think, oh, the duck is turning its noggin towards me. Swiveling. The duck is wishing me luck here on tax day. My tax day. And when I was younger, I was working retail and whatnot. You know, when I first started working when I was a teenager into early 20s, and I would always hear these stories of like celebrities or really rich people that were getting busted for tax evasion. And I would think, what's the big deal? Why don't they just pay their taxes? But then when you look at the fact that about half their money is being given to something they don't want to give it to, well, most people probably don't want to give it to it, you kind of start to think, you kind of understand, you can't really accept the fact, you know, because it's not something that's legal, but you kind of get why some people would try to avoid that. Let's say you were making $10 million and someone was like, you know, give me 4 million of that. Why? Because we said so. I mean, I kind of understand. Big difference between, you know, 12% someone taking from you. You're walking down the street, someone says, give me 12% of your income. You're like, oh man, that stinks. But you can handle it. Someone says, you know, give me 40%. Can you imagine? I mean, I can imagine, but yeah. Most definitely first world problems in a lot of those ways. I guess the thing I just don't understand is why there's different brackets. I think that's the main thing. I'm a novice when it comes to all this stuff. I'm kind of like a frozen caveman lawyer. I don't know a lot. Something has happened to the celebration established 1994. The emblem's still here, but the guide map, look at this. The guide map is just completely empty right here. So maybe Uncle Sam came through here and grabbed that as well. Acquired. And just like every cup is an adventure, every day is an adventure, including tax day. You know, I'm ready for it. I don't want to put it out there that I'm stressing, because I stress about it all year. It's something that's always on my mind, but I feel pretty confident I'm good today. I'm good. You just have to, out of sight, out of mind, the savings that's going to go away. As long as you got that and coffee, what could go wrong? And truthfully, I could probably do these myself. I don't really want to, and I'll explain why. Well, this year I probably would be easier than former years because I don't have a lot of the other elements that I had in the past. And like I said, I didn't sell off any taxes or anything like that. Doesn't this remind you like of Mr. Toad? The extended Mr. Toad mobile. He was kind of a reckless driver. I wonder if Mr. Toad ever did any taxes or if he evaded them. Makes you go, Since it's basically income, a little bit of interest on some bank accounts, and all those write-offs, I have itemized everything. I've printed everything out. Gonna hand it to the accountant. It's gonna be pretty cut and dry with typing it all in and all that and just telling me what needs to be done. I could do it myself. However, I just feel like from government's point of view, IRS, seeing somebody else doing it, they're gonna just kind of be like, oh yeah, it's done right. As opposed to me as a normal civilian doing it. They might look into something a little bit more, and having an accountant, they'll be like, oh, you missed this, you skipped this, you forgot this. But I feel like paying a little bit for an accountant and having someone to do your taxes, from my point of view, that what you're paying them, you'll probably would have been missed if you did it on your own, so it kind of all works out the same. That's just my opinion. Also, when all this is said and done today, I have to write a cashier's check, go to the bank, get a cashier's check, and then what I usually will do, I don't know why I'm showing the sewer here, but what I will usually do is get the cashier's check and I will overnight it with delivery confirmation. That way I know that they have gotten it. But evidently, when it comes to my stuff, you can't pay it online. You have to pay through a cashier's check, which is a little frightening. That's why I take a photo of it and I send it overnight with the delivery confirmation. And since I have a couple minutes for it to be at my appointment, I'll swing by ESPN Wide World of Sports real quick. Just see what's going on in the Tampa Bay Ray camp baseball world. See if anybody's still out here. Probably not, but maybe. There was no warm-ups or any players warming up on the practice fields, but in the main stadium over here, they are going to be doing a scrimmage, well, I guess a spring training game before the farm teams. Montgomery Biscuits are going to be out here starting at 1. Of course, my appointment's at 1, so I got to leave in a minute, but if I didn't have to go to my tax thing, I could just sit right here and watch some farm team Rays baseball against Tigers farm team baseball. Now the MLB Rays, Tampa Bay Rays proper, they ended up heading out and they're actually doing their spring training games and they're practicing at Tropicana Field, which is kind of weird for spring training to be played in the same stadium. But the Biscuits are still here and the Durham Bulls have already left and gone back to North Carolina. So Disney spring training has pretty much come to an end now. This is probably the last day of it. What if I could take this over to my tax appointment? Probably not. It's been nice having the spring training here at Disney though, even though it's coming to an end. I mean, even though the Rays have been gone for a while, the farm teams, the Biscuits and the Bulls and River Dogs have been here. All right, off to my taxes. I have all my paperwork in an envelope and I brought last year's statement and paperwork as well in case I need to compare this year's to last year's. So I'm prepared. I think I'm pretty prepared. I keep convincing myself I'm prepared. It's happening. All right, accomplished that, at least step 1. Took about an hour and 40 minutes, give or take, and then another 15 to get back over here to Celebration. Appointment was at 1, it's almost 3 now. It was pretty strenuous, but I think we got everything dialed in and I now have my total. And I'm gonna go to the bank, get a cashier's check, and then go to the post office, mail it off next day with a number on it. What's it called? A number that you can track, tracking number. And it just so happens that both the post office and the bank are right here on Market Street, so that's very helpful. Also, it's kind of hard to see. There's a little film on the clock here. Is the minute hand ever going to move? Maybe not. It's a possibility. Is it going to move? Someone just screamed, "I hope you have an awesome day." Thank you. This works out well though because there's a bank right here. I can get the cashier's check out. And as soon as I'm done with that, I can continue down Market Street. Well, not continue down Market Street, but just walk past Market Street to the post office, which is right over there. So I can have all 3 steps. Of course, the first step, the most stressful and strenuous one, and the most lengthy. The other 2, pretty simple. And just like that, done at the bank. Cashier's check has been achieved. And now over to the post office for the 3rd and final step with tracking. And just like that, accomplished. I don't know, I get way more stressed out about the whole situation than I probably should. But I have a tracking number. I have mailed it off to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where it's supposed to go. I think there's a couple different places you can mail it to, but mine went to Charlotte. Sent it out of there, sent it overnight. It was like $28, $29. Not necessarily priority, but express. They're going to sign for it. Whoever gets it, Uncle Sam will scribble his name on something that I can look tomorrow or possibly the next morning, but hopefully within the next 24 hours. And I'll be able to see old Uncle Sam scribble his signature that he got the payment. And then I can really rest well. But right now I feel pretty good that it's over and done with. I've withdrawn money out of my bank account and sent it to where it needs to go. Another year. I don't know, I would say this is probably one of the most stressful days of the year for me. I think about it all. I think about it the entire 12 months leading up to this. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just in my own mind, but yeah, I do. Now in the past, the Fortuna Bakery clock has not been working in precise consistency with the other clock by the bank and the one up there. But it is the correct time, it is 3:30. Well, you know what, it's a little off. It says 3:30 here, it says 3:36 up there, and I'm looking at my phone, it's 3:34. So it is a little bit off. Now I have heard and confirmed that you can save yourself a little bit of a penalty fee. It's not much of a penalty fee, but you can save yourself a little bit of a penalty fee as I walk down these stairs, so like Reinhardt, by paying quarterly, so you pay every 3 months. I am not going to do that. I am not going to put myself through this stress 4 times a year. So I'll just pay the small penalty. I think most people just choose to pay once a year. In fact, if there was a little bit more of a small penalty to pay every 5 years and only send my taxes in every 5 years, sign me up for that program, but that doesn't exist. You have to do it every year. You know, you can get an extension, but I don't want to extend this mess. I want to get it out over and done with. And it seems like every time I end up doing my taxes, whoever prepares them is saying, oh, you know, you have until the middle of April. Just kind of wait on it. It's like, no, I'm going to immediately go to the bank. I'm going to immediately ship it out, and I want this thing over and done with. Look at this down here. Look at this, all this green algae. Breathing a sigh of relief right now. Say it with me now. 2022 taxes paid in 2023 is good to go. Done. Completed. Now I gotta find a way to celebrate. Here in Celebration. But that's gonna do it for today. So my advice, put 30% away if you are doing a business online for self-employed. 30%. Write off everything you can that applies to that business, because my business is basically going around and filming things on a regular basis, pretty much daily. I miss a day here and there, but very rarely. Everything I do a video of. So all that can be written off. That's what I do. And it worked out, and I was pretty accurate in my assumption of what I was going to have to pay. Oh, there's a boat over there. In fact, I was a little over on the assumption, so even though I had that secondary savings account for taxes, I had a little more in there than I was expecting to pay, so now I have a little bit for myself. Not much, but a little bit. It's not too often you see a boat out here. Maybe that's the tax man. I think there was a Beatles song about the tax man. There was also a tax man in Popeye the movie with Robin Williams. I mean, it's just, they say there's 2 things that are consistent in life, death and taxes. And I feel like sometimes tax day, it'll almost be the death of me. It's very stressful. Way more stressful than I make it out than it needs to be. Till next year, taxes. Till next year, Uncle Sam. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. That's it for today. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna relax. See you in the next video of the vlog. Hopefully I shared some info with those who might not realize how I do taxes, and those that are self-employed do taxes, even though everyone's different in a lot of ways, but that's the way I do things. Done. See you in the next video. The vlog is over.